Hello everyone to my first ever Warcaster Mechanika battle report, and a big double hello to all of my subscribers. If you want a double hello in my next video, then subscribe now, leave a like and a comment. As this is my first real Warcaster battle report and the game is pretty new, I'm going to keep it very beginner friendly. If this is your very first dipping of toes into Warcaster, I'd actually recommend my how to play Warcaster video before this one, and the link to that is in the description and has just appeared on screen in the top right. This is a bat rep for those that have the basics of the rules down and just want a bit of confirmation before they dive into something deeper, and it's going to be very step by step. If you're a grizzled veteran of Warcaster, a game that as of this recording isn't actually available in retail yet, firstly, I don't know, rein it in a bit buddy, alright? Secondly, this bat rep might not satisfy your needs for in-depth tactics, but I'll do my best. Also, as this is beginner focused, I'm making it a single starter set only battle report, as I believe this is the way most people will experience the game for the first time they play. And I'm a big proponent of games as a complete experience with only a starter set, so let's see how that plays. If you just want to hear those final thoughts on how this game played as a 2 starter set game, then check all the timestamps below. You can jump to anywhere you want in the game. Gosh, with all that preamble out of the way, let's meet our teams. First up, we have the Ironstar Alliance, a Weaver, a Commander, a squad of Enforcers, and a Firebrand. The card is right next to all of them, so feel free to pause as I give a brief overview of each if you want those specifics. The Paladin Weaver is an odd Weaver that stands out mainly because of his realignment codex ability, letting him spike to fully charge a unit with arc. Now the Null Hammer is worthy of note, but with only one of him at my disposal, if he ends up next to an enemy gate, I haven't used him the way I intended. The Paladin Commander, when used with Foresight and Intelligence, can be a very useful tool as it can remove an activation from a Paladin squad, so don't expect to see that in this game. Whilst charged, it can attack with all of its weapons, and the Pulse Cannon is a blast weapon, but only power 3. I've got to be honest, Paladin Enforcers are my favourite squad out of the starter boxes, as their charge ability allows them to attack with all of their weapons. It's straightforward and easy, and I rarely find myself wanting to spike with them, so an arc on them is one I can forget about, typically. The Firebrand is the light warjack of the Ironstar Alliance, and of course this is where things get complicated when discussing a team. I've gone for a very all-round build, him having a repulsor shield for the plus to armour, an assault rifle and bayonet for the versatility and, of course, use of the Firebrand's charged ability, and a Harbinger cannon for the spike ability and strafe. When it comes to Witch Cortex, I've gone with heightened reflexes, which I consider to be the default take here. Movement is important and the Ironstar Alliance struggle with it. The Marcher Worlds, however, do not, as you can see with almost all of them having an ability to give them extra move. The Coalition Weaver is a feisty little gal, and make note of her Def 4. The shortest range of the Weavers, but that's fine because you want to get her close to the enemy. Her battle staff makes her one of the best Weavers in my opinion, as it is a repulsor weapon. In this game of movement, being able to move enemies is truly powerful. Now the Hunter does exactly what it says on the tin. From seeing the unit card, I don't even need to tell you. You know what he does with speed 7, rat 6 and a 15-inch gun. Add in that when charged you have stealth, and after making an attack move you can move 3 inches. This guy should be an absolute staple in every Marcher Worlds roster. He can get into range, then back out and be unattackable, or can be a throwaway unit to get onto an objective almost guaranteed. He can't hold that objective, but that's not important in a skirmish-sized game. The Ranger Fireteam aren't as killy as the Paladin Enforcers, but with their spike to move and potential for 16-inch range, they can cover a whole host of battlefield roles. And now comes the Duskwolf. A minor note, when I built this cheeky guy, I didn't have any of the rules or instructions as it was an early preview model, so I just built him with what looked good. So you see he has a flamer on his right arm, but for rules purposes, he doesn't really have that. In place of the flamer, he has a battle rifle, which I feel pairs nicely with the railgun, as when charged it can reach 16-inch range. Not nearly as crazy as the railgun with its 18-inch range of course, but it allows him to put a lot of attacks down range while sitting on a rear point if that's how you want to do it. Finally, a Ripper for a bit of close combat punch, letting him be a bit of an all-rounder if needed. I'm going to take the Scout Cortex because honestly, ignoring cover is crazy strong, to the point I consider this the default pick for a Duskwolf unless you're building something very specific. A quick look over the battlefield and I wanted to draw your eye to all of this lovely terrain. It's all pre-painted stuff from Tinkerturf Terrain. I hope to build my maglev rail yard soon to use it in a battle report. Check out their social media because they put all of their kits together in far more inventive ways than I have. What we see on the board now is a pretty simple layout and I wanted the board to be quite busy. Oh, and if you're not aware, the game mat I'm playing on is the official Warcaster game mat and it's a really nice 4x4 mat. When playing a starter set game, I'd recommend taking your warjacks as all-rounders, as you only have a limited supply of models. If you decide to pick up more models later on, then consider specialising each warjack for a specific task. One for long range and one for short range is an obvious example. And if you can, I'd strongly recommend magnetising your warjacks so you could try out lots of different builds. And now, a quick word from my sponsor. Stop drinking, Andy. Your life is worth more than this. What a great guy. Into the battle report. I'm playing the third skirmish mission, Spontaneous Combustion. 3 objectives diagonally across the board. I prefer this to the more commonly played Boiling Point, as you score each objective only at the end of a pulse round, so survival matters. Not so much an issue in a starter set game, true, but much more engaging when you have 2 full forces against each other. And scoring the objective on your side of the board scores 1, the middle is 2, and the enemy's is 3. Oh, and hey, because there's no good way to read out 12 card names, here's all of the ciphers in my rack. Both sides are using the same rack, as I think what I have here is a really nice default loadout. Quick word of warning, this first turn you're going to see a few autofocus issues, but they're fixed from turn 2 onwards, not to worry. And each turn is going to be a quick run through, then I'll explain my thoughts and reasons at the end of each pulse round. They roll off for initiative and the Marcher Worlds win and decide to take first turn. ISA pick the left side of the board. The Marchers bring out their Duskwolf and their Hunter. Now on deployment you almost always want to put one of your solos down, that's basically a must. This is a very dense board so I wouldn't normally have put the Duskwolf out first, but luckily I had Ascension Catalyst in my hand and planned to use it turn 1 to get on top of terrain as it allows the Jack to fly for the first turn. I hide the Hunter because it's good practice even though Marchers are going first. The ISA put out their Enforcers and Weaver. They have 2 Furies in hand including Cryolock and are keeping their options open. Because of the verticality they want to summon in their Firebrand in a better position. The Marchers charge the Hunter with 1 arc and then play Ascension Catalyst from our rack onto the Duskwolf. For the first activation, the Duskwolf uses his fly ability to get on top of the platform, and then is only within range of the Weaver with his railgun, nothing else. Firing at Rat 4, he rolls a single strike, whilst the Paladin Weaver rolls 5 strikes. Activation token down, and moving on. The Hunter makes his 7-inch move within 15 inches of the Enforcers, and with a Rat of 6 plus a charge, manages to get 6 strikes to the Enforcers' defense 3 and cover bonus rolling 3. So beaten by 3 with an arm of 3, we get 5 strikes through and that's 1 dead Enforcer. Able to move 3 inches after attacking, we don't reposition. We choose not to play a second cipher and drop a gate close to the objective and charge it with 3 arc. 3 again, okay. And our Duskwolf loses his Ascension Catalyst at the end of the turn. Over to ISA's first turn, and they charge the Paladin Enforcer squad and don't play a cipher. The Paladins move forward their 6 inches and do nothing. Why not? Because the Hunter is charged and has Mimetic Cloak, meaning he has stealth and can't be shot outside of 8 inches. Over to the Weaver, who moves up and is out of range of everything. Again, we don't play a cipher, so the only thing of note we do this turn is drop a gate with 4 arc onto the middle objective. Turn 2 for the Marcher Worlds, and as every model has an activation token, they all get removed. We don't charge anything because instead we play Arcane Synthesis to fully charge the Duskwolf. Fully charged, the Duskwolf now activates with his 8-inch movement, putting him in shooting range of both enemies. We want to take out the Weaver, so spike the railgun for -1 arm and ignoring cover because of the Scout Cortex, don't forget. It's a pretty bad roll, and so we decide to shoot the assault rifle into the Weaver as well, which gets through to damage but only rolls a 2, so no damage is taken. Very disappointing from the Duskwolf there. The Hunter moves, honestly, without much of a plan after taking his shot. His Rat 6 gets 5 strikes to the Enforcer's 4 death, so beating them by 1, he gets 4 damage through, killing his second Enforcer of the game. With no plan, he doesn't relocate. Second cipher is Impulse Inducer, which removes the activation token from the Duskwolf. We deploy the rest of the Marcher World units, and we choose not to place a second gate because our hunter is in a terrible position. The ISA also remove all ready tokens and decide to play a cipher they wish they'd played turn 1, Velocity Projector, whilst they have 2 arc in the well. 5 strikes to 1, the Weaver knocks the Duskwolf back 3 inches, then rolls a 6 for damage, removing the first of the Duskwolf's 3 health. The Weaver then activates, moving forwards and taking a very unlikely shot with his pistol, and they roll even to each other, so no damage. The Lone Enforcer uses a ladder to move down to ground level and close with the Hunter. He rolls 4 strikes, but the Hunter blanks out, and we deal a total overkill of 5 damage to the 2-arm, 1 health Hunter. For the second cipher, we play Cryo Lock to try and get an activation token back on the Duskwolf. 4 strikes to a blank out, and the Duskwolf is locked, undoing the Impulse Inducer from earlier. We deploy the remaining ISA units into the middle of the board, which leaves 1 arc left on the gate, and both the Firebrand and Commander in play. We then spawn a gate from the remaining Enforcer and put 3 arc on it. Into turn 3 and the final turn of this pulse round, it's looking very interesting before our first scoring. The Marchers charge their Ranger Fire team and play Reiteration Complex on them, allowing each member to fire twice this turn. They close in on the ISA gate and all opt to throw their null grenades at it, as anything that comes out of here could be grabbing the ISA 3 points this turn. Due to some unlucky rolls, it takes 5 shots from the squad, so that was a very well placed Reiteration Complex and charge target. They choose not to put their final attack into the Enforcer, feeling a single Enforcer isn't much of a threat, but stops the ISA redeploying in a better position. The Coalition Weaver moves up and shoots, but doesn't do anything. Activation's done, we play Cryo Lock because that Firebrand is far too close for comfort, and it goes off, leaving the ISA with only the Commander left to activate in their turn. We place a gate off the Weaver and give it 2 arc. With that done, we go to the ISA and charge the Commander. Then play the best cipher for this situation, it's Impulse Inducer, removing the activation token from the Warjack. The Firebrand moves up and uses his Repulsor Shield into the Weaver, which misses. Then the Bayonet gets 4 strikes to the Weaver's 2 and deals 6 damage, exactly what we needed for a kill. Now using the Null Cannon into the Rangers, we first roll a power die for the number of extra attacks thanks to Strafe. We blank it, so never mind. The Null Cannon into the Rangers, beating them by 2 and dealing 7 damage, that's 1 dead Ranger. Then the Assault Rifle beats the next Ranger by 1 and kills them with 5 strikes, great rolling. The Commander activates and shuffles around a bit to see the final Ranger and gets a 6 to his 5 and kills him on a 3. We then finish our turn by placing a gate with all our remaining arc on it, just 2. And that brings us to the end of the first pulse round. The ISA is scoring 2 to the Marcher World's 0. Let's have some quick thoughts. I wish I'd used the pushback cipher on turn 1, yes it was in my hand at that point, when I could have knocked the Duskwolf off the platform, basically disabling it for most of the pulse round. That's about it, to be honest. Everything else went pretty well for them. I should have tried to keep 1 model back on their own objective, but it's only worth 1 point, so I decided to push instead. The only negative now is that I need to spend a turn recalling that Lone Enforcer so I could put the full squad back out. And Marcher Worlds. Well, the Duskwolf, with all of its weaponry, killed nothing, which is pretty terrible, I'm going to be honest. I'd put him up there hoping to rain terror down on the enemy, and it just didn't work. Next round, I need to be much more aggressive and use him to get on the enemy's objective. The Hunter performed admirably, but I used him poorly. I should have had the guy with the most movement on the side of the board that had the furthest to travel to get to the enemy. And then the Duskwolf protecting my objective. Most of the Marchers are off the board at this point, so I'm pretty concerned, to be honest. Big misplays that I reckon might cost me the game. But let's get into it with turn 1 of Pulse Round 2. We charge the gate in the middle with an extra arc, taking it to 3, then play Aggression Theorem on the Duskwolf, letting him shoot, and we take a pot shot into the Firebrand and miss the shot. Forgetting about the Duskwolf's Scout Cortex there, my bad. First and only activation now, as the Duskwolf is the only Marcher model on the board. He moves up and goes for the Ripper into the Weaver, beating him by 1 and rolling a 3, which removes 1 health from the Weaver. We then fire the Assault Rifle, again beating him by 1. That's 3 strikes, causing 1 damage and removing the Weaver. We spike a railgun shot into the Commander, but we miss. However, looking back at it, this was probably incorrect, as the white dice for the Commander were all blanks, and I forgot the Scout Cortex again, so there you go. No second model to activate, we don't play a Cypher, we get our Hunter and our Rangers onto the board, even if they're severely out of focus, my bad there, and we deploy a gate the only place we can, within 5 inches of our board edge, and give it 2 arc. Over to the ISA and I charge the Firebrand, no Cypher, move it closer to the gate and within scoring of the objective. Repulse the shield into the gate and we beat the gate by 5 strikes, then roll a solid 10 strikes, removing both arc from the gate and freeing us up to shoot at the Rangers. Both roll 3 strikes on the assault rifle, so nothing happens. Over to the Harbinger cannon and we roll for strafe and get another 0 strikes. Supremely unlucky, but oh well. Harbinger cannon into the Ranger, beating him by 4 strikes and rolling 6 strikes for the poor little arm 3 dude. Commander is up next, and as he's charged he can attack with all weapons, so moves into melee range with the Hunter, his prime target. We fusion sword into the Hunter but roll even strikes, so miss. Now going to use his pulse cannon, a blast weapon that is, into the Hunter. The Hunter does what he does when hit and dies. As the blast weapon got a hit, we roll a damage roll against the Ranger first, killing him, and then the Commander himself, and he's fine. ISA done, we don't play a Cypher, recall the Lone Paladin Enforcer, and then don't play a gate as we already have 2 on the board. Back to the Marchers for turn 2 now, and their problem, aka the entire board state. They are fighting an uphill struggle battle thing, with only a single model from their squad able to activate. We charge him because why not? Then he shuffles round and takes a shot at the Commander, but misses. We drop a gate forwards towards the enemy objective marker. The ISA don't charge anything this turn and don't use a Cypher, no need for either. The Commander shuffles and then goes for the final Ranger with his Fusion Blade, beating the Ranger by 1 and 4 strikes on damage, so that's a dead Ranger. The Firebrand moves so that he can shoot the Marcher's gate, their only real way back into the fight. Beats the gate by 3 and removes 1 arc. Next shot gets 7 to 2 strikes and then 9 on the damage roll. No Cyphers, then the ISA bring in their Weaver, mainly to remove the gate from the board and could put it somewhere better next turn. Then their Enforcers go down to secure the enemy objective. Turn 3 of Pulse Round 2, the turn we need to score stuff on, and the Marchers only have their Duskwolf on the board and no gates. Charge the Duskwolf, no Cyphers, and the Duskwolf takes the ladder down into the Weaver and is within melee range of the Commander if his Ripper ability goes off. Beats the Weaver by 3, then 5 strikes, so 1 damage gone. Next up, the Battle Rifle beats the Weaver by 5 and then rolls 8 strikes for damage. Wish I'd gotten that on the Ripper, to be honest. The Duskwolf really wants to kill the Commander, so with the Railgun now spikes to lower the target's armor. Then beats the Rat's death roll by 4 and no need to spike as we roll 7 strikes. We spike to move the Duskwolf 3 inches to make sure we have cover. No Cypher and we drop a gate within 5 inches of our board. The ISA charge their squad, then move the Firebrand up, ready to engage the Duskwolf, and thanks to being charged, we have enough melee range to reach it with all 4 of our attacks. Repulse the shield first and it misses. The Assault Rifle Bayonet again rolls a single strike and misses. Assault Rifle rolls 6 but then only 1 strike for the damage roll, and the Harbinger cannon misses. Over to the Paladin Enforcers, who are charged, so able to attack with all of their weapons. They just shuffle up and put all of their attacks into the gate. We don't need to see 18 separate dice rolls, so let's just skip to the outcome of that little assault. Basically, they remove 2 of the 5 arc, then to finish this turn, they place a gate behind them so the next ISA spawn can move towards the Duskwolf. At the end of Pulse Round 2, the ISA have a total of 7, whilst the Marcher Worlds have a stunning 0. I think it surprises no one that at this point the Marcher Worlds concede the game. So, end of game thoughts, what went wrong, and then a quick final note on a slightly broader, more general scope about Warcaster and how it felt to play properly, now that I've had a little bit of time to think and compare to other games I currently play as well. I probably shouldn't have forgotten my rules. That would have been a dead Commander, I think. I mean, it's not likely, but possible. I forgot Scout Cortex twice, and that the Railgun was POW 5, not 4, but then on the flip side, my Railgun actually only got 1 hit during the game, despite the Duskwolf being on the board the entire time. I'm really putting this catastrophic loss down to a few bad rolls and poor deployment and lack of game plan. It's also possible that playing this scenario with only a single starter set isn't the best, as scoring at the end of the pulse round is massively different to scoring at the end of a turn, like in Boiling Point. Finally, a few thoughts on the game itself, as Warcaster is new. I'm intending to do a dedicated video on this specific topic, but chances are if you made it to the end of the video, you're a Warcaster player or enthusiast, and you actually want to hear this. But the short version of the longer video that will come out later is that this was actually really fun to play. Better than the other games I'm playing at the moment, and if you follow me, you know what that means. I'm not talking about it having tighter rules or more balanced gameplay or anything like that. I mean exactly what I said. I chose my words carefully. This was a more fun game to play. That said, I will not be doing another single starter set battle report for Warcaster. I don't think it's the best way to play the game. However, it was perfectly functional. I think if two people buy their own starter set and just want to play a game whilst hanging out and chatting, then it works as a box game, no problem. At that level, it won't have the variety to make it last long enough to warrant the price, but it's not actually bad, just expensive for what you get. I feel the starter sets are really too expensive, but the individual models and the value you then get from those when put in the game is totally acceptable. But if you're willing to pick up a few extra models alongside your starter set, literally just anything you think looks cool, no need to list build at that stage, then you can really build some variety into your games and view Warcaster as a one-off closed purchase with just a little bit extra expenditure outside of the starter sets. For me personally, the reason I won't be doing a single or double starter set battle report again is pretty simple. This is of course unique to me, but this is the hobby side of things. One of the big parts of my hobby enjoyment is my YouTube channel, so getting videos done in a timely manner is important to me. And because of how this game works, playing a single starter set game takes the same amount of time as playing a full-size primary mission with secondaries and every model in the range available to me. So limiting my model selection just makes no sense when I can play the same game but have all the toys on the board for no extra time cost for me. Okay, well, I hope you've enjoyed this battle report. Hopefully, my next one won't end in a pulse round to concede. Whoops. I'd love to get a like and a comment from you. Let me know what you thought of the battle report, or if you're new to Warcaster, what do you think of the game itself? But this has been Glass Half Dead, and if you've made it to the end of the video, then not only do I hope you've had a good day and continue to have a good day, I also grant you the elusive triple hello. Goodbye.